Well, I want to introduce somebody. Her name is Siri Lindley, and she's a three-sport Brown University student who majored in psychology. Hold on. You got to let me finish. I know you want to big her up. We're going to big her up when she comes down. She's a two-time world champion and ex-world #1 triathlete. All right? Hold up. A lot to applause. One of the world's most renowned high-performance coaches and has coached athletes to over 8 world championship titles and 2 Olympic medals. See, I know you're going, it all seems like the peak, right? But it ain't. It keeps going. She is a well-recognized Kepler keynote speaker who talks all over the world, including for her greatest mentor, Tony Robbins, where she shares the stage delivering to thousands. Siri is married to the love of her life, who she's sitting next to right there, Rebecca Keat, and together they run a nonprofit, Believe Ranch and Rescue, where they save horses from slaughter and rehome them to loving forever homes. I gotta tell you, I've done like 100 of these conferences, and she's a really nice person. Give it up. Come on down.
Until maybe 5 years ago. And after this story, you'll understand why. So I do it on purpose, because I now can just be me. And I can't dance, but so what? I enjoy it. It makes me happy. So I'm going to do it. Thank you, BB&R. Being able to speak to all of you, I want to thank you for all being here today too. Because when you take care of you and your bodies, you're able to give so much more to the people you love and care about and to this world. You can create more, you can give more, and you can support more of life, and that's what this is all about. So thank you for being here in BB&R, Georgetown University, Charles. Thank you. It's an ultimate honor. Thank you. So, at the age of 23, I set this insanely impossible goal for myself. I wanted to become the best in the world in the sport of triathlon, swimming, biking, and running. The only problem was I'm 23 years old and I don't know how to swim. What a joke, really. Who was I to think that I could be the best in the world in this sport that included former Olympic swimmers, Olympic bikers, and Olympic runners? And I'm 23 and I can't swim. But you see, I had a major reason why I had to make this happen. And I was going to go until I dropped at the age of 100, until I made this happen. You see, when I was 20, I was a student at Brown University. And maybe some of you can relate with me on this. On the outside, it looked like I had it made. I was a 3-sport athlete. I was going to a great school. I was getting good grades. But on the inside, I was slowly dying. I was just absolutely riddled with anxiety. I was suffocated by fear. And in order to deal with these emotions, I had developed this unbelievable case of OCD. I'm talking craziness of flicking on lights and washing your hands 1,000 times. That was me. It took me 2 hours to get my lacrosse uniform on before a game. And I felt like an absolute crazy person. And I couldn't go on like this. And this one night, I'm in the Brown University Library, and I'm literally just walking down the aisles, just contemplating, what am I going to do? And this book popped out at me. It said, Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. And I was like, I could use any power right now. So let's just take it off, and maybe it's got something in there for me. And I start reading this book, and it was nothing like massively, intricate and intelligent. It was just the simple words. 2 sentences that really struck me. The first one, what is real and what is possible is what I believe is real and what I believe is possible. And then the biggest one, where focus goes, energy flows. Where is your mind the majority of the day? Are you focusing on what's missing, or are you focusing on what you have? Are you focusing on what you're terrified of, what you don't want to have happen? Or are you focusing on what you want and what you dream of? Are you focusing on what you have no control over? Or are you focusing on what you have control over? Because where I was focusing on everything I didn't have, and that was more of a childhood thing. Everything I had no control over, everything I feared, everything I didn't want to have happen, and I was in this negative spiral that literally was taking the breath out of me. But what I realized is that I am the conductor of my own symphony of life. We all are. And if I don't like the music I'm playing, I'm the one that has the power to change it. No one else. It is up to you. It is up to me. And on that night, that book saved my life. Because on that night, I decided the first thing I have to do is figure out, who am I? I have no idea who I am. No idea. So I set out on this mission to find myself. And that just became just doing things I'd never done before. Now, one of the things I did is a friend of mine said, hey, you want to go out to a bar? We'll go dancing. I'm like, oh, okay, like never done that before. No dancing, right? We go out to this bar, and I didn't walk like that. I don't know why I just walked like that. I didn't walk like that. I walked like this. No, just kidding. I walked in, I was a little, nervous, and I walk in, and it's a room about this size with this many people, but it was all women. And I'm like, that's a bit odd. It's all women. Where are all the guys tonight? Well, I stayed, and I had a pretty good time, and I realized on that night, great, I'm gay. That's all I need. But it's like, I'm on this mission to find out who I am. This is what I'm getting. I'm just going to accept it and see what this feels like. So I continue on this path, trying new things and doing all these different things, getting out of my comfort zone. And one day I get a phone call, and it's my father. And I answer the phone, and on the other end is just sobbing, crying, desperate pain cries. And I'm like, Dad, are you okay? Are you dying? It was that desperate. And he said, someone told me that you're gay. I couldn't possibly have a daughter that's gay. And I'm sitting there I was like, Dad, it's true. Love me anyway. He hung up the phone, I'm shaking, sorry, when I tell that story. And I didn't hear from him for the next 2 years. Now, in that moment, and I want you all to relate, these stories that I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be talking about triathlon. It has nothing to do with triathlon. It has to do with life. So as I'm speaking, try to relate what I'm sharing with you to your own experience. But on that day, it felt like everything that I had accomplished to that point in my life meant absolutely nothing now that I was gay. And that absolutely killed me. But fortunately, the next day, a friend of mine said, hey, I want you to come watch me. I'm doing a triathlon. And I'm like, I have no idea what a triathlon is, but she was kind of cute. Sorry, wifey. She's nowhere near as beautiful as you. The things that does to you. So I go, and I'm packing a lunch, and I'm packing run shoes, nice shoes. I don't know what this triathlon thing is. And I go, and I show up a little late, and there's all these people of different sizes and shapes and ages and personalities and abilities, and they are out there pushing themselves beyond what they think they're capable of. They are out there pushing so hard, but looking so exhilarated and so alive. And I'm like, oh my God, I have got to do this. Because for me in that moment, I thought, what a perfect place, what a perfect vehicle to find me and find out what I have inside of me. Maybe it's enough. So I topple her over when she crosses the line. I'm like, Lynn, my God. Didn't congratulate her. How selfish. She like kicked ass, and I'm like, Lynn, coach me. And she's like, sure, I'd love to help you. Meet me at the pool tomorrow. And I'm like, uh-oh. Still 23. Okay, well, I am now 23. So I show up at the pool, and she's there, and the pool's about 20 yards long. And she's like, okay, Siri, show me what you got. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, my mom swims all the time. She loves it. But she has this gorgeous head of blonde hair that she doesn't want to get wet. So when she swims, you guys know the swan, you know? She does the swan, and I'm like, okay, yeah, okay. But then there are these people in the pool, their arms are coming out of the water, and I'm like, oh, that's confusing, but okay. So I get in, and off I go with the swan and with the arms, and I'm trying to like do the swim stroke, and she looks at me and she's like, you didn't tell me. You didn't tell me you didn't know how to swim. But she took me on. Step one, learn how to swim. I go off about a month later. I've been swimming, I've been biking a little, I've been running, and I decide I want to go off for my first race. But God forbid anyone sees me, even though I only had like 2 friends. But God forbid either of them see me. So I fly off to Colorado, to altitude. My mom lives out there. Rent a bike, get my shoes, get ready to go to the race, new bathing suit. I've been reading magazines about the sport, you know, immersion. You've got to immerse yourself, learn, read, ask questions, all of this. I had learned that I need to carbo load, okay? Carbo loading, absolutely crucial for having your best performance. Now, understand the race I was doing was a sprint. Do you guys, okay? Shortest race you can do, like if you're really fast, it can take an hour. But I'm at the grocery store. My mom's watching me put a box of pasta, a loaf of bread, cookies, broccoli, chicken, a little bit of sauce. And she's like, oh, honey, I don't think you should eat that much before the race. Oh, Mom, I'm carbo loading. Trust me, this is what I need to do. I eat the entire box of pasta, the entire loaf of bread, and I'm in bed just so uncomfortable, and I'm thinking, you got to go through the pain to get to the pleasure. This is how it works. I'm carbo loading. Kind of enjoyed it, too. Anyway, so the next day I get to the race, and I'm so excited, and there's this registration table, and I am ready to roll, and the lady at the table is saying, what's your 100-meter time? And I'm like, my what? And who knows a triathlete here? Does anybody have a friend? How intense are they like when they're trying to get ready for their race? It's like, don't go near them, they will eat your arm. The line is forming as I'm trying to figure out, what do you mean by what's my 100-meter time? And they're all getting angrier and angrier. I hear them huffing and puffing. And she's like, She's like, 115, 120, 125, 130. I'm like, okay, 115, it's 115. And off I go, and I'm so frustrated because everybody's just like so upset with me. But I'm gonna go in the 115 lane. So I get up. Now I have always been someone that gets excited, and I'm kind of oblivious to the things going on around me. So I'm at the front of the lane, curling my toes over the edge of the pool for the start. And behind me, all these guys with triangular shoulders and ripped chests are standing behind me. And I'm like, my friend told me, sometimes the ones that look the fittest are the slowest. And I'm like, I got your number. So I'm there, I'm curling my feet over, the gun goes off, and boom, I'm in the water, and all I remember, elbows, kicks, scratches, like people yelling at me, and I had never felt like this alive in my entire life. And the best part was, I was 100 meters in, and I had the whole entire lane to myself. It was awesome. So I'm having the time of my life. I'm all scratched up. I've got a bloody nose. It doesn't matter. I get out of the water, and my mom is on the side with my spandex pants yelling, Siri, I have your pants. I have your pants. And then the referee comes over. There's no outside assistance, ma'am. And my mom starts crying, and she just throws the pants. So I'm running around, and I'm trying to get, we all know spandex on wet legs. Not a good idea. I'm trying to get the spandex on, and I have one leg down here, the other leg up here, camel toe. Ladies know what I'm talking about, never mind men. Don't worry about it. Not a good thing though. I get on the bike, and I am hammering through the Rocky Mountains. It felt like I was just climbing the biggest mountains ever, and I'm just grinding on this mountain bike. And just a side note, I went back about 10 years later, flat as a pancake. Like, not a single hill. I'm like, what was that? But I get off the bike, and I'm just take off like a bat out of hell with my camel toe, my helmet half on my head. And I'm like, I got this part. I used to be a field hockey, ice hockey, and lacrosse player. I can sprint. Helmet on, first sprint, 200 meters, fast as I can go until I'm literally gagging and having to bend over, snot coming out of my nose. Finally, I realize the helmet's on, take the helmet off, and I run the entire 5K like this, just 200-meter sprints and stopping and gagging and snot and everything, the blood from my bloody nose. And I'm having the best time. And I crossed the line. It's like the greatest day of my life. And I cross the line, and my mom is there. And she's like, oh, honey, great job. All your stuff is in the car. Let's go have lunch. And I'm like, Mom, the awards are at 1 o'clock. And she looks at me and says, oh, honey, I think you were last place. This is no lie, okay? We waited till 1, and I did not get an award. This is no lie. I get home that night, and do any of you, when you go to bed at night, is that when you're most vulnerable as far as judging your day and what you did? It's awful, right? I get into bed, and I am suddenly bombarded with the reality of what was happening outside of me. The looks of pity, the looks of ridicule, the looks of oh my God, why is she out here? Why doesn't she stop and fix that camel toe? Why? And laughing at me and just being the butt of jokes and being so just ridiculed and pitied. I think pity was even worse. And I just started bawling. And I go into my mom's room, and I'm crying, and she says, oh, honey, I'm so proud of you. You did it. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. I am going to be the best in the world in this sport. Even you're making the face she made, which is Oh my God. What have I given birth to? Guys, I don't even know where that came from. Does it sound like I had the personality that would even talk like that? No. But this came out of me. I don't know why, I don't know how, but I made this grand statement about this seemingly impossible dream that I was going to get after. And in making that statement, it committed me with all my soul to making it happen. Because I was on a desperate mission due to my dad's rejection to prove to myself that I could set an impossible goal and do everything in my power and have the courage to go after it and achieve it. That I can make a difference in this world. That I can find love and be loved. I was desperate. And this was going to be my way. I needed to know that even as a gay woman, I could have all those things and that I could inspire and I could be an example. That meant everything to me. And in our lives, when you have a goal, or even an insane dream like me, which I know every single one of you either has, does, or will, when you have a dream like that or a goal like that, you have got to know what your deeper purpose, your reason for wanting to achieve it. It's not getting a certain job to get a paycheck, be able to buy a house you want. What's deeper than that? I know I'm not alone in having that deep desire. So I set out on this mission. And there are certain steps to success that have to happen. Number one is knowing your why and being connected to it. Because even when I start talking about what it took to get there, I am nothing special. Each and every one of you has that exact same thing inside of you. And if you don't have it right now, it's because you haven't connected to that deeper purpose of what you really want to create in this lifetime. For you, and ultimately for others. So I immersed myself like I had already kind of done. I moved out to Colorado, to Boulder. It was the mecca of the sport. I got a coach. Then I heard the best athlete in the world, or the best athletes in the world, were coming from Australia. So I moved out to Australia, and I'm working 60-hour-a-week jobs, anything I can do to fund this pursuit. I move out to Australia. And I somehow befriend the #1 athlete in the world, a girl named McKeely Jones. And I somehow convince her to rent out a room in her house to me. And that was fabulous. I ate when she ate. I stretched when she stretched. I trained when she trained. I stretched my arm when she stretched her arm. I mean, she must have thought I was like a complete stalker, okay? She never told me I was, but modeling. If someone has done what you dream of doing, someone has achieved what you want to achieve, model them. Do what they do. Find out how they think. Find out what their rituals are. Find out what moves them every day and how they do it, and copy that. It's not being a stalker, it's being smart. And doing that to McKeely took me from where I was to this whole new level where I was actually competing for my country. And there's a story I would love to tell, but I don't have enough time, so I'm going to have to leave that out. But it took me to an incredibly high level. But then I realized that there's this other athlete, Loretta Harrop, that's starting to kick McKeely's butt. And I'm like, well, what's she doing? Here is a piece that was missing. She had a coach that had been coaching multiple world champions and Olympic medalists. And they had this little secretive camp out in Switzerland. And I thought, I need to get in front of this guy. I need this guy to coach me. So I'm looking for him at every race. I'm trying to find this guy and talk to this guy, but he never sticks around. And finally, I get in front of him, and I said, Brett, I want you to coach me. And he's like, I remember you. Were you in Noosa at the World Cup in Noosa? And I was like, yeah, I did that race. And I'm like, oh God, he's never going to coach me now because it's awful. And he's like, I was walking home at about 2K to go, and you were in like 40th place, but absolutely destroying yourself trying to come in 39th. And I was like, yeah, that was me. That was me. But guys, that's what caught his eye. He took me on in that moment. He said, that's hunger. You're looking to be better than you were the day before. It's not about winning, everybody. It's not about winning or even coming in second or third. It's about being the best you can be in every moment, every single day, whether it's in your job or in your relationship, your marriage, with your mother, your father, being the best that you can be in every moment and being better than you were the day before. And he saw that, and that meant so much to him, and he took me on. So I fly out to Switzerland. My jobs were very short-lasting, just so we all know. I fly out to Switzerland. And the first day, you know when you say to the people around you, whether it's your boss or your family, your loved ones, I'm doing everything I can. And you really believe it. And then you realize, not even close. There's so much more. And I get there, and the first day, knock on the door, we're going swimming, you ride your bike, it's 25 kilometers. Wifey, what's 25 kilometers in miles? Like 15 miles? Okay. Okay, whatever. 25 kilometers down the mountain to the swimming pool. Now, I'm used to swimming 3,000 meters a day thinking, I'm doing everything. We get down there. It is a 6,000-meter, 2-hour swim session, hard the entire way. I'm the slowest in the pool, getting my ass kicked. And that finishes, and I'm like, God, that felt great. I'm so proud of myself. Day one, done and dusted. Check that mark. Get outside of the locker room. I don't walk like this. I don't know why I do that here. Anyways, it must be my new thing, so I'll just go with it. So I get outside, and I look around, and I'm like, hey, guys, where's Brett? Where's the van? And they, like, laugh at me. You think he's going to drive you home? You ride your bike home. And I'm like, oh, my God, I haven't had breakfast. And I'm like, oh, it's like 25K, like straight up. This literally was the Alps, okay? Literally. So I'm like, oh, my God, like, I don't know if I can even make it up there. And my friend Loretta looks at me and says, go with Jane. Jane sucks. And I'm like, oh, thank God somebody sucks around here. I'm going to go with Jane. So I'm like, where's Jane? Now, who wants to be Jane? You're going to be Jane, and don't worry. Jane doesn't. Well, hold on. I'm like, thank God Jane sucks. So Jane's ready to ride with me. First mile, Jane is like down the road, and I am like, oh my God, if Jane sucks, what am I? Jane kicked my ass that day. And I spend the next 2 hours climbing up this mountain, just sweating and exhausted and hungry. But I get to the top, and I'm like, thank you, I made it. I get in my bathtub, I sit down at my table, I've made lunch, knock on the door. And it's Brett. We're going running, be upstairs in 5 minutes. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, okay, it's got to be like 10 minutes, flush the legs out. He wants to look at my form, like it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I grab my water bottle. I go upstairs, and then I'm like, ooh, when I get nervous, I have to pee. So I put my water down. I run downstairs. I go pee. I come back up. There's 1 sip of water left in my water bottle. And I'm like, did somebody drink my water? And Brett looks at me and said, if you haven't drunk enough today, too late. So I'm like taking a deep breath, trying not to cry, and I'm like, okay, it's just going to be a short run. We all get in the truck, in the van, and he drives us to the bottom of the mountain. Okay, there must be a nice trail down here, and then we're going to go have a coffee, some lunch. It's got to be. Always hopeful. We get down to the bottom of the hill. Brett lets us out of the car, and he peels out, does a donut, whips off and says, see you at home, and leaves us there, me with my 1 sip of water, and all these freaks of nature. Jane, who's a good runner, And I have to run 25 kilometers up the mountain home. I make it, but I'm beside myself. I call home that night and I'm like, Mom, I can't. It's like, I can't even believe this. And she's like, Siri, it was just one day. Don't worry. It's just one day. The next day, same exact thing. Not the same exact sessions, but same exact intensity, this impossibleness, same exact thing. The next day, same exact thing. The next day, same exact thing. 2 weeks down the road, same exact thing. 3 weeks, same thing. I call home, I am freaking out, but I'm like, I'm doing it somehow. And one day I walked in front of Brett and I said, Brett, I can't even lift my arms higher than this. And he looked at me and he said, find a way. Here's the thing. Every single day he would give me this task that seemed so impossible. But every single day, somehow, I found a way. And it was so brilliant. Because what he was doing was just, he was putting me in a position where I could prove to myself what I was capable of. I kept proving over and over and over again that what I thought was impossible was possible. How can we ever know that if we don't get out of our comfort zones? How can we ever know what's possible if we always stay comfortable? How can we ever know? So I thank him for that gift. It was brilliant. So I go off about 6 months later, and it's the World Championships. I'm in the form of my life. I've never been in such form ever. I still can't move on the start line, which was brilliant too. It was freakish, and dangerous, but God, he was brilliant. I would show up on the start line. We all know about expectations, right? When you're expecting everything to go perfectly and just the way you want it to, does it ever? Never. I would go into these races barely able to move, and I'd think, I don't even know if the gun goes off, if I'm going to even be able to run or to move or to take that first step. Having the no expectations started leading me to not only getting on the podium, but winning races. I go to the World Championships. Now, my story previous to this race was that if I had a bad swim, which was quite often, if I had a bad swim, my race was over. You know how we give a meaning to things that happen? Bad swim, race is over. On this day, I get out of the water, I'm in near last place, and I think to myself, okay, that was a crap swim, but you know what? This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for me to go as hard as I possibly can and do whatever it takes to get as close to the front as I can. The story changed, my story changed, from bad swim, race is over, to bad swim, opportunity to see what I can do. So I get on the bike and I'm just driving it, going harder than I've ever gone in my life. It didn't have an engine, I wasn't driving it, I don't know why I just did that. Weird, okay, so whatever, I was biking, I don't know, I was driving it. And I'm going as hard as I can and just destroying myself, and I'm catching the fourth pack, then the third pack, then the second pack, and then, oh my God, half a lap to go, and I reach the front of the race. And McKeely Jones is there. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And I look over at her and she says, well, that was frickin' stupid. And I'm like, oh my God, as if to say you've just completely crushed your legs, you're gonna have nothing left to run with. And I take a deep breath and I look at her and I say, hey, McKeely, ready to run? And then I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that to McKeely Jones. Like my idol. I just asked her if she's ready to run, like, oh my God. So we get off the bike, and I'm like panicked now. And I take off faster than, this is where that first race helped me, because I take off faster than I'd ever gone before. I hear her on my shoulder. I hear her breath. And I grab this water, and I'm running along, and I have one pet peeve, and I think it comes down to like leftover OCD. I cannot stand littering. It makes me cry. It really does. So I have this bottle, but there's no trash can. And I'm like, what do I do? And then there's a can like all the way in the back corner back there. And I'm like, I gotta just do my best, right? Give it a try. And I fling the bottle, boom, in the can. I'm like, it's a sign! It's a sign! Oh my God, it's gonna be an amazing day. So I'm running for my life harder than I've ever run before. McKeely's on my shoulder. I get to the last lap. My mom's there with her red hat on, and she's like, you're winning! You're winning! And then 10 steps later, I see Brett, and he says, you haven't won anything yet. And I'm like, oh my God, she must still be there. So I am just like, absolutely, I'd never gone so hard in my life. But I cross that line, and I become the world champion. Now, thank you guys. Thank you, but that's so nice of you. The thing is, it wasn't about winning, making a paycheck, being a world champion. On that day, I gave myself the most incredible gift. For the first time in my 31 years of life, I felt a love and an appreciation and a respect for myself. That was the gift. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Greatest gift in the world. Because when you think about it, we live with ourselves every second of every minute, of every hour, of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year, of every decade. Ourselves. You better like yourself. You better know yourself. You better love yourself. You better be your own biggest supporter. Because what's life going to be if you're not? You have to. I started coaching because all I wanted was to be able to give back and to be able to take someone else that was in my same position of whatever it was and help them find a way to tap into their strength and their beauty and become all that they could be. So I started coaching, but I realized the reason why I was ready is that in our lives, we have to become the fearless leaders of our own lives before we can even begin to lead others the way we dream of. We have to. Why does the oxygen mask fall down in the airplane? Why do they tell you to put it on you first before you put it on your loved ones? Because you cannot love, you cannot care for the people that you love the most if you don't love and care for yourself first. When you deny that love for yourself, you're denying that love for the people that you care about. Don't do that. But part of me thought, you know, I need to be fearlessly authentic. I need to be the fearless leader. And then I remembered I still had some disempowering stories that I was telling myself that would take away from what I could give these beautiful souls that were coming to me for support. I had years back, in one of my first years of racing, Ralph Lauren came around and offered me this incredible sponsorship. And I wasn't even good. I just had a friend that worked for Ralph Lauren from college. And I was like, our sport has no money. Their sponsorships were unheard of. And she says, we want you on the team. Come to New York. Let's have a meeting. So I go into New York, and I meet with the head of the team. And I'm so excited. And he sits me down, and he says 2 things. Grow your hair long and get a boyfriend. Because we're a family. You know, our image is very family-oriented. And in that moment, I'm thinking, if I'm gay, I won't ever make it. So I walk, shake his hand, sign the thing, walk out of the office, step right back into my closet, and I slam that door shut until I started coaching. And I thought, there's a piece here. This disempowering story needs to change, because what I accomplish as a coach, because I know I can, I feel it in my heart, I can do as a gay woman, I can do as a whatever I am. Let go of those disempowering stories that are not true. They are not true. Excuse my language, but they are bullshit. Sorry. Let those go. I wanted to lead with fearless authenticity. I knew that I needed to be all of me. I knew that I needed to get vulnerable with them. There's a power in vulnerability. It doesn't make you weak. By being vulnerable, if you're running some big business and the people you lead, you walk up and say, oh, it's easy. I never failed once. It's easy. I've never been afraid, never been nervous, never failed. How are they going to feel when they're faced with their own fears and anxieties, which we all are? Failure and disappointment is absolutely necessary on the path to success. There is no road. There is absolutely no road that is perfectly paved. There will be potholes, there will be speed bumps, there will be detours, there will be everything coming in your way. But it is through our disappointments, it is through our failures that we learn and we grow the most. That's how we make progress, and that's how we get to where we dream of going. So I'm going to share my failures. I'm going to share my fears, my anxieties. I'm going to share this story with my athletes, because they need to know that you can be like me and become what I became, or that version of you. Don't be afraid, or be afraid, but dance with that fear. Because that fear is a universe saying, this matters. Take it on. It will lead you to your promised land. Being afraid and doing it anyway, that's courage. We all have that. We were born with that. One of the things that has just been the most powerful state, the most powerful feeling in my life is gratitude. When you're grateful, you can't be afraid. When you're grateful, you can't be angry. And when you're grateful, you're fully present in the moment with how lucky we are to have this incredible gift of life. There is always something to be grateful for. You want to look for 1 million things wrong? Guess what? There's probably 10 million things right. Be grateful. Wake up, think of 3 things you're grateful for. And if you're going through a tough time, guess what? There is a gift in every struggle. My father, on that day of the World Championships, I used this simple formula that changed everything for me. When I say change your story, change your life. You change what you focus on, okay? My race is over, or it's an opportunity. I chose an opportunity. The meaning of it, over, no, it's a great chance to just use my fitness. And what you do about it. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to go for it. My father, I realized, I called him actually about a year ago. And I said, hey, Dad, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being exactly the father I needed you to become the woman that I am today, that I'm proud to be today. Because had he found out I was gay and just said, oh, honey, that's fabulous, you're going to make such a great gay person. Like, would I have had that drive? Would I have had that determination, that desperation to want to prove to myself that I'm enough? I don't think so. It was a gift. And when I did thank him, he cried and he cried, but this way in a nicer, kinder way. And for the first time in however 25 years, he said, I love you. And he said, I'm proud of you. And that was the gift that I got not only from him, but I got that gift because I changed the meaning I gave that struggle, the meaning I gave that rejection. Think about something you've been rejected from. Did it lead you to what you are truly meant to do? Your life's mission? Did someone dump you that you were in love with, but now you're married to the person that just makes your heart sing every single day that you couldn't live without? There is a gift in every struggle. Be grateful for it and find it, because when you do, when you know that through anything you're going through, something wonderful is going to come out of it, no matter how hard it is. Because it is through our greatest struggles that we stumble across our greatest strength. So I have spent my entire life trying to find my way home to my truth, chipping away at my self-doubts, my anxieties, my fears, my disempowering stories, to free myself to live the life I know I was put on this earth to live. And there's this quote by Michelangelo. I saw the angel in the marble, and I carved until I set him free. Recognize the angel inside of you. And put your focus on chipping away at the things that are dimming your light and lessening your power. Chip away at those things. Because as the light begins to shine through the cracks, you truly begin to live. And when your angel is revealed, you're free. And you can finally live the extraordinary life that you dream of and inspire everyone else around you to do the same. So to all of you, and I have to say, there's a gentleman in the back row, Marvin Bush. When I was trying to figure out who I was, I thought back to one person. When I was about 10, maybe 11 years old, we would go to Kennebunkport every summer, and that's where the Bush family became just the most beautiful example of what I dreamed of having, and that was family and love, loyalty, courage. But there was one guy, his name was Marvin, and he would walk along that beach and make everybody laugh, and he was smart and he was funny, and I felt invisible. I was living in my own hell, and I truly felt that I just didn't matter and nobody saw me. But here's this guy that was everybody's favorite, and he saw me. And Marv, you came up to me and you would say, hey, Siri, how are you? What are you doing? What are you up to? He may not even remember that, but to a kid that age, when someone that you admire sees you and acknowledges you and makes you feel special, you hold on to that in your darkest times. So Marv, I thank you for that, because I held on to that in those darkest times. So thank you. Thank you, Marv. And to all of you, you are so beautiful. Be all of who you are. Don't leave any part of you on the bench. You are perfect, just the way that you are. So shine on, and thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.